Hi boys and girls, it's Miss Giok here, and I am ready to teach you writing day 1 of our milestone prep week 5. So if you have your packet with you, I want you to locate the one that has the interview with a marine biologist. And if you do not have this packet, that's okay, you can just follow along with the smartboard. So our I can statement for today is I can identify key ideas and details in an interview passage. And you may be asking yourself, what is an interview? So an interview is when somebody asks questions to another person in order to provide people with information. So the two interviews we're going to be reading today are about a marine biologist and a wildlife officer. Now, you want to understand why are we reading these two passages. So throughout this week, we're going to be working with them, and you are going to write a story from the perspective of a biologist or of a wildlife officer. So as we're reading, you're going to be thinking, which one would I rather have for my career? And we'll be taking notes throughout the week and answering some questions between the two interviews. So I want everyone to please flip to Interview with the Marine Biologist. And as I read, I want you to follow along with me. This is an interview with Chris Meyer by kids.gov. Meyer is a marine biologist at the National Museum of Natural History. Marine biologists study sea creatures. They try to learn what these creatures look like, where they live, and what they eat, as well as other facts about them. Chris Meyer, as a marine biologist, we get to study the ocean and all the animals and creatures that live in it. I didn't spend much time near the ocean, but once I saw the ocean, I became really fascinated with it. To be underwater and seeing things that were different, it just sparked that curiosity. Now I want you to notice that up here, these are bold. These are the questions that the interviewer is asking Chris Meyer. So it's a back and forth conversation. So the first question that he is asked is, what do you like about your job? And Meyer responds, the most fun parts of my job are that I get to see something and learn something new every day, that I get to travel, I get to meet wonderful people who are also excited about what we're doing. The beautiful part of doing this job is it's hard to say that there's a typical day. It's the excitement of discovery, it's the chance to be wowed and have a sense of wonder every single day. Now I want you to stop and think. Do you want a career that is different? You get to see new creatures, you get to travel places. So just keep that in mind as we're reading through this interview. The next question that he's been asked is, what is your favorite animal? Meyer responds with, well, my favorite creature is certainly the cowrie, which is a type of snail. I mean, they're spectacular and they're beautiful, they're very shiny, and most snails aren't as shiny, or maybe they're only shiny in the middle where the animal comes out. The next question he was asked was, what is some advice you have for kids? He responds with, if you're interested in pursuing marine biology or any kind of biodiversity, which over here it is in brackets to explain what that means. Biodiversity means variety of life. And so if you're interested in pursuing marine biology or studying a variety of life creatures, I would encourage everyone to just get out and walk around and observe the environment. Take the time to stop, look, and ask questions. The fun part about science is that we're still finding and learning and discovering new things about the ocean, about almost any place on the planet, and there's a lot of opportunity to explore. So I want you to think, now that we've read this interview with a marine biologist, think about what's the main idea of his career. It's the main thing that he does. So then I included for you some pictures of marine biologists in action. So you can see that they're in the ocean. Marine means ocean. So they're underwater. You can see using your eyes that they have what looks like a waterproof clipboard. This one looks like there's a camera over here, and they're studying these creatures, learning about how they live. So if that's something you're interested in. They also teach other people about these creatures, and they also research to provide information to other people about how to keep these animals safe and about the new findings that they have. Now, I want you to flip the page to the interview with a federal wildlife officer, and we will read through this interview and think about the main idea of this career. This is an interview with Gabriel Harper by kids.gov. Harper is a federal wildlife officer for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Federal wildlife officers protect wild animals and where they live in the United States. They often work in national parks. So those would be parks that are owned by the government. Now we have Gabriel Harper, the officer that we are interviewing. He's going to go ahead and explain to us a little bit about himself and his career. We see wildlife all around us, all the time, and they see us. You come outside and you might see some deer or even a box turtle out by the lake. You might look up in the sky and see an eagle or an osprey. All these things need to be protected. At the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, our primary purpose is to conserve and protect the habitat for wildlife. We have to have the type of law enforcement making sure people obey the law, to go about regulating and maintaining those rules. So stopping right there and thinking, what is the main idea of his job? It's to make sure that people obey the law when animals and their habitats are protected, making sure people are not harming where they live or harming the animals. So as I'm reading this, I want you thinking, are you interested in doing something out in the woods, by lakes, and in forest? So the interviewer asks him his first question, what's your day like? Harper responds with, this is my office, coming outside every day, breathing this fresh air. I live on the refuge. I come outside. I take a little lap around just to see what's going on, and then I can deal with anything from helping with a fishing group, kids that come on the refuge that want to learn about fishing, archery, and different things like that. The next question he was asked was, what do you do on patrol? Harper responds with, when I go out on patrol, it can be anything from a vehicle patrol to a foot patrol. On foot patrols, like I said, going out into the refuge, different areas of the woods, also different bike paths, just seeing what's going on. Introducing myself to different visitors, making sure that they're safe and making sure that they're not lost. And on vehicle patrol, just making sure that everyone is going the correct speed limit out there. So I'm going to stop there. He also does a lot with the law. So he's making sure that people are following the laws when they're driving and when they're in this park. And he's also helping visitors if they're lost, if they're out there hiking. So think, do you want to help other people? So then this may be the career for you. His next question that he was asked was, what equipment do you use most for your job? So when we think equipment, we're thinking tools. Harper responds with, I have my trusty GPS that I can just clip on me and I can make sure that I can get back to my truck when I need to. 13,000 acres is a lot of woods. You do a few turns around and you just don't know where you're heading. So this section was focused on how he knows how to get back to where he parked his car if he's out in the woods exploring. What other tools do you use? He responds with, there's 13,000 acres at the research refuge, so I can't be everywhere. So I have to use cameras set up. These are hunt cams where I can see, or where I can set up on different areas of the border and I can see what's going on. So he uses cameras to make sure everyone's following the laws in the different areas of the forest and of the camp. Is this career for you? Harper responds with, if you feel the need that you want to protect the resources and wildlife, then being a federal wildlife officer would be the perfect line of work for you. I love what I do. It gets me up out of bed every day and I don't regret a day of work ever. So if you like playing outside right now, imagine doing it when you're older. So I just want you to reflect on the career of a federal wildlife officer and the different jobs that they do. Here's some photos out in the forest. This person is on the lake. They have binoculars. This is probably where her GPS tools are down here, walkie-talkie. So they patrol the forest and conservation areas. They protect people while they're having hunter safety courses. They enforce laws. They provide conservation education, so they're teaching, helping people, helping animals, lots of different parts. So just to go back to our I can statement, I can identify key ideas and details in an interview passage. So we just read two separate interviews, and we're thinking of the key idea, the main idea of each interview, which is to learn about their career, the different specific things that they do. And we will be working with these interviews this entire week. And so as you're at home reflecting, I want you thinking about the prompt, which is asking you to imagine that you are a marine biologist or a wildlife officer. You need to write a short story about an adventure you have during a day at work. Use ideas from one of the interviews to help you write your story. So our main job is to understand the two careers, and we have to pick, would we rather be a marine biologist or a wildlife officer? And we're going to write from their point of view. You're going to pretend that you are one of those careers, and you're going to write a story, a narrative about an adventure you have. So just go ahead and be brainstorming that. We'll probably start working on that on Tuesday and Wednesday. So go ahead and just start thinking about that. And what your independent task, yes, you have some work to do. Your independent task is to answer questions 15, 16, and 17 in your packet. And if you do not have this packet, I will still go through the questions. I'm going to read them to you, and then you can just write down your answer on notebook paper. And then when I come back on tomorrow, on Tuesday, I will review the answers with you and you can check your work as we go. Question 15 says, in an interview with the marine biologist Chris Meyer, so you're going to refer back to that passage, what is the connection between the sentences in this section, what is your favorite animal? So you're going to flip back to that section. What is your favorite animal? And you're going to reread this section, and you're going to be looking for the connection. We know that there's different connections. There can be compare and contrast, there can be sequencing, there can be problem and solution. You're going to reread that, and you're going to ask yourself, what am I learning in this section? So let's go look at the answer choices. Choice A, they give a list of snails that Myers has studied. So you're going to go back and ask yourself, did they list a bunch of different snails that he studied? They compare some features of different snails. Features can be things like size, color. Choice C, they introduce a problem that Meyer discovered about snails. So you're going to be looking, is there a problem that he discovered while researching? Or choice D, they describe what causes some snails to have shiny snails. So are you going to see a cause and effect? So I want you to go through each answer choice, refer back to the passage and see which one shows the correct connection. So that is question 15. If you do not have the packet, go ahead and pause the video and answer this on notebook paper. Choice 16, or question 16. In an interview with a federal wildlife officer, Gabriel Harper, we're going to refer back to the wildlife interview. Which section of the interview explains why Harper uses cameras? Why does Harper use cameras? So you're going to go back and you're going to look in this interview, and these are the sections. You can see the bold print. You're going to look for the bold print, and you're going to see which one includes why he uses cameras. Is it what's your day like? What do you do on patrol? What equipment do you use most for your job? Or what other tools do you use? And you're going to be looking for why he uses cameras and where that is located. And the last question that I need you to do independently today is question 17. Read the sentences from both interviews. This one is from the marine biologist. This one is from the federal wildlife officer. Which idea do both sentences try to explain? So let's go back and read this one first. If you're interested in pursuing marine biology or any kind of biodiversity, which we know means variety of life, types of animals, types of plants, I would encourage everyone to just get out. Second section says, if you feel the need that you want to protect the resources and wildlife, then being a federal wildlife officer would be the perfect line of work for you. Which idea do both sentences try to explain? So which one of these are they trying to explain from up here? The importance of exploring the outdoors. Choice B, how to figure out if you might like a certain job. Choice C, how to encourage people to become interested in science. And choice D, the steps needed to gain knowledge about an area of study. So you're going to go back and reread both of these sentences and try to figure out which idea are they both trying to explain. And I want you to use process of elimination and cross out wrong answers as you go and really see which one is included in both interviews. So just a refresher, today you are independently answering 15, 16, and 17. You are not going to start writing your story, but if you want to go ahead and research federal wildlife officers, or if you want to research marine biologists more to get more information, then please go ahead and do that. You can start taking some notes that you could maybe include in your story. But that will be it for our writing lesson today, and we will check back tomorrow for writing day 2. Have a good afternoon.